Hey, everybody. Welcome to MFSN. It is Thursday, which means it's time for our weekly strategy show. I am joined forever and always by the great Ross the Boss. Ross, how are you doing today?
Ross the Boss is doing unbelievable. I'm here in Los Angeles, California, the home of the Dodgers, who play in the World Series tomorrow against Casey Scheinfeld's Yankees. It's
Yeah.
going to be a battle of the iconic teams. It's going to be an unbelievable World Series. I know we're a football show. Don't remind me, Casey, but I got to get your take really quick on the World Series. What's your prediction?
Yankees in 6. I think the
It's funny.
Dodgers
I said
starting pitching catches up to them.
yeah, Flannery's ERA in the playoffs is like over 7, and Cole's
And
is
they've been
like
doing it. They have to
under
do
3.
bullpen games. I don't think you should be allowed to win a World Series if you have to do a bullpen
No.
game in a World Series.
It's so
So
funny. Beginning of the season, everybody said the Dodgers were stacked in pitching, and now they're
they
not
were,
stacked.
but
So
everybody got hurt.
injuries,
Dustin May,
yeah.
Yamamoto, Glass now. We knew that
Now,
Shohei wouldn't pitch this year. Kershaw's hurt. So,
Kershaw.
all right. Well, we
Yeah.
got a few people here with us. Good afternoon, Real Tommy V. Good afternoon, Albert Mariquin. It's nice to see you again. Always good to have you guys here. So it is Thursday, which means we actually start football tonight. Tonight is the first game of week 8. And it's actually a pretty tasty matchup. It's the Los Angeles Rams and Cooper Kupp, which I think we should hit on, against Sam Darnold and those winning Vikings, although they lost last week. What are your thoughts on Cooper Kupp being back finally? What do you think that does for fantasy?
Cooper Kupp, big game tonight, 100 yards at least. Puka might be ready to play today. That's the story in Los Angeles, Casey Scheinfeld.
I
Puka
heard that,
might
but
return. It's not official, but I won't be surprised if he's out there. This is a huge game for the Rams. I mean, if the Rams win, I think they're 3-4. If they lose, they're done. But this is a big game right now for the Rams. Minnesota started out hot. They were undefeated, but I think they can get beat tonight. I like the Rams. I like Stafford tonight. I think he'll have a big game. I don't like, and you're going to laugh at me, I don't like Kareem Williams at all today. I think they're going to cut down. I think the Vikings, they're going to make sure they'll cut down the running game. I just think they'll do that, but they do give up a lot of points in the passing game. So if you have receivers like Kupp, even I would even go to maybe Willingham. Maybe I think
Whittington, I don't think is going to play. They're saying so. I would go with Tutu Atwell.
Tutu
That
Atwell,
would be the guy I would look at.
And see if Puka's playing.
Puka's in, you got to run him out there.
But I think Williams will get some balls receiving. I think he'll have like a good game receiving. I just don't know.
Well, Kyron Williams, fun fact, is one of 2 running backs in the NFL currently to have a touchdown in every game. And he's the only one to have a touchdown rushing in every game. You could probably guess who the other one is. It's Derrick Henry.
Derrick something? Oh, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
good.
But Derrick Henry did not get a rushing touchdown this past
I saw
weekend.
the catch at the end of the game.
He caught one. So
it was a garbage touchdown.
It doesn't matter. It kept his streak alive.
I saw it.
So I have a hard time betting against Kyron Williams.
I know. I'm not saying bet against him. I just feel the Rams, their script. You always say script. I'm quoting you.
I'm a game script guy, but I don't think Kyron Williams
tonight's going to be a lot of
passing.
Stafford should have 40 attempted passes, and I can see him throwing at least 2 touchdowns for Stafford.
Yeah, I could see it also, and I think then obviously you got to look at Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison as good plays. According to Albert Mariquin, I haven't heard this yet, so thank you for breaking that for me. Albert Mariquin says Hawkinson has been ruled out tonight. So I'm a Hawkinson owner in a couple leagues. I was hoping he would play because it would be a good spot for him, but he's not going to be out there. So that's all the more targets for Jefferson and Addison. So,
yeah, I mean, Hawkinson's coming off a horrible injury. Supposedly he's practicing with the team. I don't think he's going full out in drills yet. I know he's on the sidelines practicing, but I'm not surprised he's not playing tonight.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but not totally shocking. But unlike most Thursday night games of the past few years, this one actually might be fun to watch. It has some appeal to it, so I'm excited about that. What other games are you looking forward to this weekend?
Well, you see the shirt I'm wearing, correct? Cincinnati Bengals.
Of course.
So I'm excited for the Bengals playing the Eagles.
Yeah.
hosting the Eagles. The Eagles are playing a lot better football, Casey Schoenfeld. They have some running back they got from the Giants named Barkley. I don't know.
I don't want to talk about it. He's right there.
I know it's I know it's a trigger.
That's
I know
him.
It's a trigger. That's why I said it. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about that game. And another game I'm excited about. I mean, it's gonna be a great game, Casey Schoenfeld. Cleveland is playing Baltimore. You couldn't ask for like two worse matchups. The best team, I think, right now in the AFC is Baltimore. They're playing the best football right now.
Although their defense isn't playing great.
Yeah, I still like if I have Henry and Lamar Jackson in my backfield.
Oh, sure.
Oh my. And even their team is just on all cylinders, playing probably a team that I don't know if they're going to win another game this season. No, seriously, I'm just being serious. They're starting their second string or third string quarterback who's done well as a backup. He's been around for a while. But
Cleveland, you're talking about famous Jameis?
Yeah, Winston, the guy who likes to steal king crab at supermarkets in college. But so the masseuse guy is out. He's not playing. He's done for the year, I assume. So Cleveland is in deep trouble. They're in deep trouble against Baltimore. So I'm looking forward to see that game to see if Cleveland loses by 30 points or 40 points. I'm not quite sure how many points they're going to lose by, but that's what I'm predicting. It's going to be a horrible game if you're a Cleveland.
Yeah, but if you're a Cedric, if you were smart enough to go out on the waivers and pick up a Cedric Tillman, he's somebody who's in a pretty sweet spot because Jameis is going to have to throw it 50 times, and he's a big risk taker, and Tillman's probably going to be the big target winner. Jerry Jeudy might even end up being fantasy relevant because of it, although I wouldn't bet on it because since he left Alabama, he hasn't really been fantasy relevant at all. So
I mean, another big game, Casey, I think is Buffalo traveling across the country to Seattle.
Seattle, that could be a shootout.
Seattle plays really well at home. Buffalo is playing really good football too. I mean, they started out a little shaky.
Have there been any updates on DK Metcalf? Is he supposed to play?
They've been very quiet on that. I haven't heard anything at all on that. Everything else I heard about Metcalf, I've not heard. I know Kupp. I know that Buffalo is in full stride. I don't think they have any major injuries. And I'm just on look. I mean, Kansas City Raiders. Do we really care about the Raiders? Their season's done. I mean, the big game is Sunday night. I guess we can say it's a big game, even though the 49ers are playing not good football. They're not a team that would be expected. They're very overrated. They're at home against the Cowboys. Now, beginning of the season, I would have said, "Oh my God, Casey Schoenfeld, I can't wait to watch these over 500 teams play each other." Well, they're playing each other, but they're not over 500. I mean, both these teams are very disappointing seasons. Dallas, I don't know how McCarthy keeps his job. And for fantasy owners, Lamb has been a big disappointment. Prescott's been a disappointment. And I mean, I don't know who on that team I would want to start. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, you like Ferguson.
Jake Ferguson, I like. I mean, you got to start CeeDee Lamb if you spend a first round pick on
I
him.
get it. Oh, did you read? I read it this morning what Tyreek Hill said yesterday to all the fantasy owners that have him fantasy football. And I love when players direct stuff to fantasy owners because they know it's a huge thing going on in the world. And he said, I can't quote it because he had some bad language, but basically, he told his owners to start him this week. He's going to have a huge week. He told his fantasy owners that.
Well, I mean, look, that as Cooper, I mean, Tua Tagovailoa is just as big of a story, him coming back for Miami as Cooper Kupp is for the Rams, and maybe even a bigger story because he makes Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, he makes them all fantasy relevant again. In some ways, if Miami wins a bunch of games with Tua going out and they make the playoffs, if Tua stays healthy, I think Tua has earned the right to call himself the MVP. He's proven how valuable he is to that Miami offense, that when he's out, they can't even score. When he's there, he leads the league in passing yards and touchdowns, and they're one of the highest scoring offenses.
No, I agree.
Not that he's going to win MVP, but I think that's an argument.
It's a good argument. I mean, my MVP during the season, and I said this a million times, is Jared Goff.
Yeah.
And he's in the mix. I mean, it's not like, Jared Goff, he's not going to be MVP. The Detroit Lions are playing great football. They're a team to be reckoned with. I mean, they don't lose. They're not going to lose many games. They're a very well coached team, and I mean, I don't know if you watched any of the Lions game last week, but they had Dan Campbell had 4th and 7 on their own 33-yard line, and they went for it. I mean, how about that? I mean, just think about that. You're going for it on your own 33-yard line, and it's 4th and 7, and he's going. That's a lot of
when you got nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose.
Those are cojones, and I like that because fantasy-wise, that only helps you. If your quarterback gets another throw and attempt to get more yards, great.
We've been talking about trades the last few weeks. And, one of the things that I've if you invested in Cooper Kupp, if you invested in Tua Tagovailoa, if you invested in Puka or invested in Hawkinson or invested in Chubb, sometimes having one of those injured players come back and play again is actually like winning a trade. And so it can give you kind of that same sort of thrill that you get when you pull off a big trade for a player you wanted. I mean, I can't imagine being a Cooper Kupp owner right now. You got to be super excited that they're going and that he comes back. It's this tasty matchup. If you survived the last 5 weeks without him, my God, you got to be excited. But we're going to have we could have other players coming back soon too. Whether it's Jonathan Brooks coming back, I say coming back, he hasn't played a snap in the NFL yet, but playing again. Nico is 2 weeks into his IR stint, so he could be coming back. You got Pacheco is getting close to his 6-week or 7-week window. Maybe he'll start practicing again. So there's a lot of players that we've lamented over the weeks getting injured that are coming back. It's really important to be mindful of that as we get to these parts of the season. So what are your big predictions, bold predictions for this weekend? Who do you think people should be prepared to shine that they may not be thinking of normally?
I think Joe Burrow is going to have 4 touchdowns. I'll just give you my crazy predictions just because I like to just mention big stuff. I'm worried. The Raven game I'm worried about just because I think the Ravens will have such a big lead. They'll just hand the ball off and they'll take Lamar Jackson out.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry's going to have 300 yards and 7 touchdowns. That
script just reads like their starters will be up by the 4th quarter. So
which is a shame because Mark Andrews has finally started catching touchdowns. He had 2 last week and 1 the week before. He was finally starting to play like a top tight end, and now he's not going to see the ball this week.
The Texans-Colts, I kind of like the Texans' offense in that game at home against the Colts. The Colts have a pretty good defense, but regardless, their offense is kind of sputtering around a little bit, so they'll be on the field a long time.
Now, Jonathan Taylor was a full participant today in practice, so
good. That's nice to hear.
Again, so were Josh Downs and
I just think the Texans, and especially Tank Dell are going to have a big game against the Colts. I think they're just due for a big game. The Titans are playing the Lions. I mean, just pick how many points golf
that's something we didn't talk about. What broke last night or this morning? DeAndre Hopkins, it broke yesterday, I think. DeAndre Hopkins is now a Kansas City Chief. Does that mean anything for fantasy?
I know Hopkins is in his second half of his career. It's not
last half of his career.
Yeah, last second half, I can say that. I'm curious to see what happens in Kansas City with them. As we know, in the past experience with Mahomes, he doesn't use one receiver. He goes to all of them. I mean, he really does.
Not since he did for a while with Tyreek Hill, and then he did. Then he did for a while with
Kelsey, I guess.
Kelsey, but look,
Hopkins. I think Hopkins will do well, but I don't think he's going to be in. I don't think he's a 1 or maybe not even a 2.
He's not a 2. He might be. I
think he'll have I predict 40, 50 yards and maybe a touchdown. There you go.
Look, I loved DeAndre Hopkins back from his Texans days, and then the first couple years he was with the Cardinals. But in the last 3 years, he hasn't been very effective. He's never been a burner to begin with. He was always a guy who just knew he was able to use his body and stronger than you to come down with contested catches. Not a yards after the catch kind of guy. Like, I see him as another tight end almost at this point with that offense. I think it's going to keep it that dink and dunk that Patrick Mahomes has been doing with the short passing and just moving the chains. They're playing to win. They're not playing to score fantasy points. And I mean, It's certainly better than having Will Levis and the Titans when he was there, but I don't think it moves him onto the fantasy radar much more than a flex option or a bye week substitute, to be honest.
If you have any Carolina receivers, do not start them this week.
I know Bryce Young is back.
Do not start any receivers for the Carolina at all. They'll be doing a lot of cardio in Denver this weekend, going back and forth and running routes, which are not getting the ball. Hubbard's going to be getting 20 to 25 attempts for carries on Sunday. And Bryce Young will be lucky to have 20 attempts. I mean, it's going to be Carolina's going to get murdered. I mean, that's another game that's going to be like very lopsided.
Yeah. By the way, I know we haven't been big fans of Javonte Williams on this show. We've never really ranked him that high, but he is in about as good of a spot as you can be going up against the Panthers and coming off a 2-touchdown week that he had last week against New Orleans. He has got to be in the top 6 or 7 running backs that you want running out there in DFS.
That script just says, Denver's going to get the lead and then there's going to be pounding the ball in the second half.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson is a good wide receiver, although he hasn't practiced this week. So keep your eyes
he'll
on
be
his
doing a lot of cardio. He'll have
Patrick Surtain blanketing him on top of it. So it's not a good night to be a Carolina Panther receiver.
And then, what's going to happen with Mariota? Marcus Mariota starting in Washington. I mean, we had Daniels, who everybody was talking about, rookie of the year favorite. Now he's not even, he's week to week. I still haven't figured out what week to week means yet, but I will someday. It's just like, okay, this week I'm off.
And Chicago's a tough matchup. So
it is. I was excited for that matchup just because we have the 2 rookie of the year candidates facing each other. That was like a premier matchup.
But it's a tough matchup. If you have, Scary Terry, I think you have to run him out there because he's probably your second best wide receiver. But outside of that, I don't know. Maybe Brian Robinson.
Like you said,
I'm not playing any other Washington Commanders.
It just could have been such a great game, Casey Sheinfeld, and now he got ripped off because of his rib injury. It's not funny.
It's a little funny.
Okay, another big matchup, which I think the Jets are going to clobber this team. I think the Jets, the Patriots are the worst team in football. I think they're worse than Carolina, Casey Sheinfeld. I know, I know we talked about their quarterback. He had a couple of good games, but this team, even their coach said they're soft in the defensive. The defensive line is very soft, which means they can't stop the run. The Jets need a team what they got the beat on. And they're going to score a lot of points. Devontae Adams will have a touchdown. He'll be celebrating.
Breece Hall will have a bunch.
Breece Hall will have 100 yards. Allen will have his touchdown. I mean, all these guys are going to just feast off the Patriots. And so I predict Aaron Rodgers 3 touchdowns and 300 yards, and Devontae Adams will have at least one of them. So that's my prediction in that game.
Wow. What do you think is going to happen for my Giants against Pittsburgh on Monday night?
Ooh. That
doesn't feel good as a Giants fan.
It's in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Monday night at home. Tough, Casey Sheinfeld. You know that.
I know.
You know that. And Daniel Jones just on Monday night. Every time he plays Monday night, he fails. He's running for his life. He's throwing interceptions. I never seen him play well Monday. I never have seen him play well Monday night. So I think Pittsburgh is going to run it down their throat. I think we'll see Wilson throw some big bombs like he did last game. He looked great. He really did. I started off a little shaky, but then they let him throw the ball deep. And these receivers, Fairmouth, all these guys were catching the ball for him. So I predict Fairmouth will have a touchdown, and I predict that Wilson will have at least 2 touchdowns throwing the football and at least 250 yards. They'll let him go. They'll open the playbook a little bit for him, I think, against the Giants on Monday night.
Yeah, they might. Najee Harris should have a good game too.
Yeah, Najee and Warren. It's just hard to pick who I like better because they both went really well.
I think if I'm doing DFS this week, I want to stack Atlanta Falcons.
Tell me
they're
why.
They're going against Tampa Bay, who has given up how many points in the last 3 weeks? I feel like it's 150 points. Kirk Cousins is going to be his price will probably be a little lower this week because he laid an egg last week against Seattle. And that was after his 500+ yard performance the week before. He's always been kind of up and down in that respect. And I just think Drake London, I think Darnell Mooney is a great play. Bijan Robinson is always a decent play, I think. And if you can get Kirk Cousins, one of those receivers, and even maybe Kyle Pitts, although I don't know, that zone defense that Tampa Bay runs, it seems like everybody can throw all over them.
I'm not disagreeing, but on the other end, Baker Mayfield, he's a competitor, and I have two rules. I don't bet against.
Oh no, I hope he does well. I'm not. But I
don't bet against Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I never bet against.
I want Tampa Bay to score a ton because that means Atlanta's going to keep having to score. The worst thing you want is for them to get up like 24-3 in the second quarter, and then all of a sudden it's Tyler Algier, handoff, because I don't want to hurt anybody else. It seems like there's a lot
Bucky Irving is banged up. We got to see what
Bucky Irving is banged up. Rashad White, though, if you remember, found the end zone twice last week and caught 6 or 7 balls. So
what school? I forgot what college did he go to? I totally forgot.
I forget. I think it was MIT. Something.
No,
like that.
It was Arizona State.
Oh, same academic equivalent. I knew they're close.
Same accomplishments academically. 100%.
Yes. It seems like there's a lot of good quarterbacks going against bad defenses this week. You talked about Joe Burrow. I don't think Philadelphia's a great defense at this point.
No, they're not. They're not a good defense. 100% correct.
The Giants aren't an indicator of somebody's defense. Lamar Jackson's going against Cleveland. Jordan Love is going against Jacksonville. Jalen Hurts is going against Cincinnati. Brock Purdy's going against Dallas. Like there's, it's some pretty easy defenses for some of these teams. Who knows what Tennessee is going to be like?
The Lions are at home. The Lions are at home playing the AstroTurf indoors
against Tennessee. Yeah,
against Tennessee.
My problem, my fear there is it's a game script again because Tennessee now they don't have DeAndre Hopkins. Calvin Ridley isn't practicing this week.
Yep.
Will Levis is coming back, which
is he coming back? What's he, 95 yards a game? I mean,
right.
Good.
So it could be they score between 6 and 12 points this week. And that means that David Montgomery is probably going to have a big game if he's healthy, and Jahmyr Gibbs. But I don't see a lot of love for the wide receivers at this point, although there's a wide receiver that went down. How about Jameson Williams, not learning from his gambling suspension last year, decides to get busted for performance-enhancing drugs? I don't know what it was he took.
What was it?
I haven't read an article. It's only
taking.
It's only 2 games, which makes me think it was probably something unintentional, but he still violated the performance and whatever the rule is, because normally it's 4 to 6 games. So, but with the amount of nutritionists and coaches and chefs and all this, like everybody they have working with them, you would think they would know what they can and can't put in their body and be pretty vigilant about that. But he's not going to be here for the next 2 games, which
it's okay.
He was having a great season.
Yep.
So it hurts those of us who drafted him or have him in fantasy. But it's only 2 games at least.
No worries. Lions have some good backup receivers. They have a great running back tandem, and they have a great tight end. So I'm not really worried about the Lions using Williams for 2 games, in which last year he was out for 10 games. I mean, they'll be fine. I mean, the Lions will roll. They'll roll all over Tennessee. It's going to be all the scrubs will be in by the 4th quarter, and Levis will have at least. Here's another prediction: Levis will have at least 2 interceptions, at least 2, maybe even 3 if they don't yank him.
Yeah, that is true. So I want to ask you some questions about some players who are not performing up to their draft status so far this year, and what you would do with them.
Who do you want to start with?
Well, let's start with the man who caught nothing last week in their game, Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
Drafted as a top 25 player, currently ranked 141.
Heisman Trophy winner, Alabama.
Yep.
Very disappointing last week. Hurts is not looking for him right now. I don't know why. Maybe he pissed him off. I don't know. I think he'll bounce back. I would sit on it. I would start him every week still if I had him. He's going to get the ball. I'm sure when he came into the locker room last week after the game, I'm sure he gave a mouthful to Hurts. I guarantee it. And to the receiving coaches and to the coach and everybody else. He'll be back. I predict 65 yards and a touchdown for Smith against the Bengals on Sunday.
Okay. All right.
He'll be back. No fear.
No fear. I like it. Good.
No fear in that one.
No fear is good. What about Josh Jacobs? He's actually averaging almost 5 yards a carry. He's averaging like 4.7, 8 yards per carry, but he only has one rushing touchdown and one receiving touchdown on the year.
Yeah, I saw it last week. I think it was the receiving touchdown last week. Is his first receiving?
Yeah, it was the first of his career.
Yeah, career. And then he jumped into the bleachers with all the weirdos, and it was great. With Jacobs is this: he gets so much volume in Green Bay. Unless you can, I mean, of course you start him, but do I trade him? If I was offered the right situation, yes. Is he tradable? Yes.
Okay.
But with him, it's just, you're right. He doesn't get in the touchdown that much. I mean, Love either runs it in, or he throws it to Kraft, or he throws it to Dobbs, or he throws it to a receiver. I mean, it's not like on goal line, running is not the first thing they think of. It's passing. So would I dump him now? If I got the right operation, I'm not sold on, I don't, Jacobs isn't the same player he was with the Raiders a few years ago. So there you go.
Okay. I'm going to name Trey McBride was routinely drafted as one of the top 3 tight ends.
Overrated.
Currently on the season, he only has 320 yards receiving and no touchdowns.
Yep. Overrated. Never thought he was that great. I thought he was a situational tight end. I think he's not top 5, maybe top 10. I'm not sold on him. So with him, it's not somebody I have to start every week. So there you go.
And what about DJ Moore?
That whole Chicago receiving corps, Rome, he's invisible. He hasn't done anything this year. DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. I mean, it's hard for me to get behind those guys. Komet's getting their tight end is getting all the action.
Yeah.
I'm not DJ Moore. No, he's not an automatic start every week. If that's the question. Absolutely not.
Is Travis Kelce even cuttable? Is he cuttable now?
I said that on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's cuttable unless you could pick up a tight end that I really believe in, like a Hunter. I told you on Tuesday, I would drop Kelce and pick up Hunter Henry. I would. If I had that option, I didn't draft Kelce in many of my leagues, maybe 2, maybe 1 in my leagues, because I just know he's in the twilight of his career and he's dating who, and it's just, I think he has a lot of things on his mind. But I would think about cutting him if the right guy on the waiver wire was there. Yes, that's my answer.
Okay. Now, this is a guy we were all very high on in the offseason and even the early parts of this season, but he's currently number 215 in fantasy ranks, even though he was a top 70 player coming into the season. So about a 5th round pick or a 6th round pick.
Yep.
Tank Dell has only 20 receptions and 190 yards on the season.
Okay, let me just
one touchdown.
I know he's been hurt a lot of the year. He missed a lot of the season. So let's just say that up front. Nico Collins isn't playing for at least the next couple of weeks. Tank Dell is a great receiver. Last year he showed.
Would you try to buy low on him?
I would try to buy low, and if I had him, I would start him. I would not do anything stupid, but I would try to buy low 100%. He's a good receiver, and I think I said it already. He's going to have 80, 90 yards and a touchdown this week. That's my prediction for him. He'll have a good week this week. You'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, I like your confidence.
I like Tank Dell.
I don't know if I share it, but I like your confidence. Look, I think he's QB 23 on the season, 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and only 1,300 yards passing. You know who I'm talking about. The Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes.
Sure. What do you do if you drafted him? You got to keep starting him. I wish I had the guts to drop him. I wish I could say pick up May and drop him. I mean, that'd be unbelievable. That'd be great. Great story. Tell that story to your kids. You drop Mahomes to pick up May. Oh my God, people would be great. Mahomes used to be like an automatic 300 yards and 2 touchdowns every week. If you look at his stats from last year and the year before that, this year it's kind of caught up to him. I mean, it really has. He's not old. I'm not saying it's age. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the defenses are just learning how to cope with him, or maybe he's just not playing well because he doesn't have the weapons like he used to. But long story short, I mean, he's not a tier 1 quarterback anymore. He's not. I mean, let's play the Casey Scheinfeld game. Whether start Mahomes or Sam Darnold. Go.
Ooh, Sam Darnold.
I mean, who in my right mind would say
would ever said that? I know, and I don't think that. I actually don't think Mahomes is playing poorly. I don't think he's not throwing for stats. He's playing to win, and he knows he and Andy Reid are brilliant, and they know their defense is good. And I just need to. He's intentionally a game manager. I still think he could air it out and try to make big plays if he needed to. I just don't think they've needed to. They're undefeated. Why would you change the way you're playing? But yeah, at this point, Sam Darnold, I would rather start because he at least chucks it down the field to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. And then when he has Hawkins,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying
I know, isn't that crazy?
What's coming out of your mouth is just unbelievable that we're in week 8 and we're saying that I'd rather have Sam Darnold as my starting quarterback.
Smith. You'd rather have Geno Smith than Patrick Mahomes.
As much as I hate to say it, because Geno Smith, I have zero stock on. I would, probably. Maybe
he leads the league in pass yard. He's thrown more passes than anybody else.
Well,
so from a fantasy perspective, he's kind of the guy you want in that respect.
Yeah, I'm just worried about Metcalf. When you don't hear stuff about a player.
I know he didn't practice yesterday. I'm not sure about today. I couldn't find that yet.
Without Metcalf, I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, but if without Metcalf, I'm scooping up Tyler Lockett if he's on my waiver, because I think he could have a really big game. I noticed, and you can still get Tua at this point. Tua is available in a bunch of leagues.
Yeah.
And so let's see, how many leagues is he available in? Right now he is
it's under 50%, I think, right?
Yeah, it was, at least when we did Tuesday's show.
Yeah, Tua, I don't know. He has to prove himself. When he comes back, I want to see him. I want to see him play before I invest anything or even start him.
He is still available. Oh, he's at 61% now. So
he went up. Well, people are reading the hype, but we'll see what happens.
This is a great weekend for sports, though, isn't it?
Casey, we got the
World Series,
college football, we got World Series, we got hockey, we got basketball. First, we got basketball. I know you love NBA basketball. I know you watch it every night before you go to bed. I get it.
I do.
He doesn't, folks. That's a joke. And and he and we have football. I mean, it's a great.
You got college football. You got Notre Dame versus Navy, which is kind of a fun game because
really quick with that game. I mean, Navy hasn't lost a game this year. I don't think Notre Dame will lose, but I think it's going to be a tough game all around for Notre Dame because they play them every year, and Notre Dame and Navy runs that wishbone whole offense. And I know Notre Dame. I know their defensive coordinator for Notre Dame has been there for like 20 years, so he knows what he's doing with the Navy deep offense. But it's going to be that's going to be an exciting game. I'm going to watch that game.
You got Missouri at Alabama. You got Texas going to Vanderbilt, who upset Alabama when they were number 1.
Yeah, and Vanderbilt's
at the world twice.
And who would think like today we'll be saying, "Oh, there's a big SEC game coming up, Texas and Vanderbilt."
Yeah,
I know. Like Texas wasn't even in the SEC last year. I think it was brand new to the SEC, and Vanderbilt's been a running joke in the SEC for 40 years. I mean, they haven't been competitive for years. Who would say like, I can't wait to watch Texas and Vanderbilt struggle it out in the SEC.
Illinois travels to Oregon. There's some great games. So, I'm excited for this weekend. The World Series, hopefully the next time we talk, the Yankees are up 3-0, although there's probably a low chance that that's happening, but it would be great.
I'm rooting for the Yankees because of you, just so you know.
I appreciate that.
And I really despise the Dodgers, but
it's really the only team the Yankees could be playing where the non-Yankee fan could say, yeah, I like the Dodgers even less Like everybody else, you think of the evil empire of the Yankees, and so you're always rooting for whoever they're playing. But the Dodgers are kind of an evil empire in and of themselves, and so they've spent how many billions of dollars in the last 4 years on players. So suddenly the Yankees don't look so evil.
No. All right. So great weekend. It's gonna be a great weekend. I'm excited. It's gonna be good. Watch the game tonight. I'm excited for that. And and tomorrow night we got college football with unbelievable game. It's Boise State and Nevada. UNLV's playing, both great teams.
Yeah, Boise State's top 17. So
yeah,
I am.
Got a lot of stuff going on.
I'm very excited. Well, Ross, as always, I love talking sports with you. Your knowledge, your passion, second to none, buddy. Have a great
got a haircut
weekend.
too. Did you notice my haircut? You didn't even say anything.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
I look like
it looks very nice.
Yeah,
you got a little Don Johnson going.
I'm like Richard Gere in I don't know, one of his movies.
Yeah. Officer and a Gentleman, Pretty Woman. You pick.
Pretty Woman. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, you have a great weekend. Enjoy these few days of every sport imaginable. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I will see everybody again Tuesday, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. We'll do our waiver wire show. We'll talk about the big names to know going into week 9. And then next Thursday, Dr. Dan will be back with us. By the way, happy birthday, Dr. Dan. He turned, I think, 24 today or yesterday. I apologize.
It's 25. Okay.
No,
it's 24.
25 on the 20. So
happy
birthday to him. He'll be back next week. He'll tell us how old he really is. Everybody, have a good weekend.